This is our second hit in our Torrent or leader series done by Aziz, a leader of Elite Kill House. He's also on a couple other crews, obviously 2.5, and I believe Angry Lions, but don't quote me on it. So this is where it gets a little bit different compared to what I see a lot of teams do. Typically, the teams are so focused on getting these SGs up here that that's where they start. Personally, my belief is you make that hit up there a little bit easier. Sometimes if you're not doing the clear on the right side, this will be done for you ahead of time and then you do something else. But in this case, we did the right side clear and Aziz decided to make his rush on those shields easier. And the way he was able to do this is just by creating T-shocks with these rocket launchers, and these are more for the rush, but same idea in principle, and to decrease the hot landing by that rocket launcher. So I'll show you what a T-shock is. So this is what I mean by a T-shock. What you're doing is you're creating easier ways to shock these weapons. So getting rid of the rocket launcher on the bottom left corner above and this rocket launcher below, and sometimes that's a laser, and you'd actually take 2 boats of Zukas on this second hit and get that. But in this case, he was able just to hack those 2 rocket launchers, and that's going to make, instead of doing the weird angle 6-way shocks, you're able to do a nice easy T-shock. The reason we call it a T-shock and not a plus shock is typically we just started calling it that because for the rush, that MG really doesn't matter, so it makes a nice T formation. So let's actually get this attack rolling. As you can see, there's artillery going out onto that lower rocket launcher. He flares to a position that he knows is in range of that lower rocket launcher. It is important to not lose delay on these lasers, as these 3 lasers can roast you before you even get your hacks off. So he hits hacks, it targets this one down here, and then he flares the one above, and he's going to do a double hack here, and that's going to create 2 T-shocks. Typically what we would do is, this is typically a laser, and in the first hit you would actually hack the shock launcher and this top left rocket launcher right below that one by having these mines clear and coming up and flaring into this area, having this marked, and then flaring over to there. But in this case, since there's no shock launcher, he was able to get these 2 rocket launchers. As you can see, both of those go down no problem. He flares over to the cells. I typically just do a flag landing. He takes 7 boats, and you let him group up by these 2 cells here. Now it is important to remember that when you're shocking these rocket launchers, that SG or SB and this machine gun have all lost delay, so you really can't afford to do very much peeking at all. You see he does peek slightly there, but it's so minute it doesn't really matter. The rocket launcher didn't even have time to turn. So this would be my only critique on this hit, is the placement of that flare. That placement of that flare I actually like to be right up against this SG here, and you'll see why in a minute here. So he's going to get his shocks out a little bit early, knowing that the delay is gone, and that costs him a little bit, but as you can see, he's able to get everything of importance. As soon as they take that first shot, you flare onto the second one. So now what you notice there, and I meant to pause but I fast forwarded, is that his girls had quite a long way to travel to get to this second SG, and that's why it's important to actually flare closer to that first SG. That's a little trick that Andy taught me, and as you can see, he does leave a little bit standing there, unload some barrage, and then what he's actually going to do is, typically these are saved for the rusher, but he very smartly decides to farm them so he can clear the mines for the rusher and get that as low as possible. So he's just farming, barraging, He throws a critter on these, I believe. Misses a couple, but that's no big deal. Throws, I believe, an artillery, yep, and leaves one mine there, which is not a big deal. And so what you got left is 2 T-shocks there, right here, and right here, and then 2 shocks up here, 2 nice easy shocks. You can try to do the 6-way shock, but with such a low amount of shocks, I didn't think it was beneficial to do so. This was another AZ tutorial video brought to you by Elite Force 2.5, done by Aziz, leader of Elite Kill House. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Again, I'm going to try to get one up after these tribes that shows more of the standard hits that can help you in your everyday play. But this was a really good 315 Torrent done in 3. Hope you guys have a good day. Happy booming.